The Gordon Reserve Indian Residential School was established in 1888 by the Canadian government in the province of Saskatchewan. It was one of many residential schools that were created to assimilate Indigenous children into Canadian culture. The school was run by the Anglican Church until it was closed in 1996. The purpose of the Gordon Reserve Indian Residential School was to separate Indigenous children from their families and communities, and to force them to abandon their language, culture, and traditions. Children were often taken from their homes by force and sent to the school where they were punished for speaking their own language or practicing their own customs. The goal was to kill the Indian in the child and make them civilized. The Gordon Reserve Indian Residential School was closed in 1996 after years of protests and legal battles by Indigenous people and their allies. The Canadian government finally acknowledged the harm caused by the residential school system, and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada was established to investigate and document the experiences of survivors and their families. The Gordon Reserve Indian Residential School was one of many institutions that were created with the purpose of assimilating Indigenous children into Canadian culture. The legacy of these schools is one of trauma, abuse, and cultural genocide. The closure of the Gordon Reserve Indian Residential School is a small step towards reconciliation, but much more needs to be done to address the harm that has been caused to Indigenous peoples and their communities. The school experienced major fires, problems with water supply and maintenance, and harsh conditions that Indigenous children were subjected to, leading to its closing between 1947 and 1953.